Robofun and Katie. And I am doing the heart to heart this week in place of Laura. And if you haven't met me before, you may have seen me sharing about our programs on the Instagram videos or the Facebook videos before. But if you haven't, again, my name is Noah, and I am the on-site program manager. So I manage the Robofun space. And with me is an amazing mentor, Katie Marsh. And I would just love to pass it to you, Katie, so you can introduce yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name's Katie. I'm a mentor with Robofun. I teach EV3 technologies, pre-robotics, and now Minecraft, and of course, coding and video game design.
Awesome. And for anybody who is hearing some cooing sounds in the background, that is Katie's daughter.
My better half. Hello.
So welcome, Katie. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, and the intention here is really just to give parents the opportunity to meet a RoboFund mentor. With the pandemic happening, a lot of the times, really all the time at RoboFund, we have to greet parents at the door and check them in, and their kids come up, but they don't really get to meet as many mentors. So this is a wonderful opportunity, and I'd um, love to start by just asking you, like, well, what got you into teaching in the first place?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have been blessed with a great deal of fabulous teachers from elementary school to middle school to undergrad to graduate school, teachers that were invested in me who were great influencers in my lifestyle and the life I've chosen now, who've inspired me to be a teacher. I feel like I've been given so much, and now is my time to give back. And so by teaching, even though I still am receiving, I get to give back.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm so curious, was there like a particular moment or a particular
Mhm.
teacher that influenced you where you were like, oh yes, okay, this is something I want to do now?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. I mean, I had a professor in my undergrad program who was helping me get ready for graduate school. She would take extra time outside of her classes and being the head of the department. And she would take her extra time and coach me in a graduate application monologue.
Mm,
And her eye for detail and her ear for listening was inspiring. I went to graduate auditions with more confidence than I could have without her. She led me, she inspired me, she gave me her time, which was the greatest gift because she's a fabulous listener, and again, she has that great attention for detail and has you do the work. So she's just she is she's a mentor. She doesn't do the work for you, and then she guides you through it, which is how I like to teach. Actually, that would be my teaching style. Is I like to get the students up. I like to get them going. I like to see them in their project
mm,
and get their hands all over the project.
mm.
Uh, that's the best way to learn is by making mistakes and then redirecting yourself and thinking, oh, well, if this didn't work, let's try something else. Trial and error.
I love that. That's so great. Yeah, and I really hear that difference you're pointing to of like thinking you're doing it for the students versus giving them the space to do it themselves and step into their autonomy. And I'd love to hear a little more about that and your teaching style in general. Like, how would you characterize your teaching style, or what are some of the specific things that you bring to a RoboFun class, for example, to support the learning?
Absolutely. Well, I feel like energy, performance energy, because as much energy as you bring to the class, the students will also rise to that amount of energy. It goes back and forth. And so I love to bring that performance attitude to each one of my classes because
Hmm.
I find that if I bring the energy, the attention, the listening, they're also going to be open and receptive and also be there with me. They're going to perform with me.
Hmm.
Um, there are classes I'm teaching at PS 44 right now
Hmm.
where in the morning They come in, they're very quiet. The energy is very low. And then I close the door and I say, "Hello, how are you doing?" And they just explode. They're so excited. They want to get into the discussion. They want to be involved in the performance, just like this little one. So I would say that my style is, it pulls on a lot of my performance experience. And then it also, I'm a facilitator. I'm a facilitator for them to make mistakes, to redirect, and to do it again. And I feel like that's the best way of learning.
I love that.
And
Um,
so yesterday, is there one example that I can share with you, Noah?
yeah,
And
please.
everyone who's listening. Yesterday, when we were making race cars at PS44, we were going to do the race once, but
Mhm.
then there were a lot of cars that fell apart. So I had everyone go back to their seats and take some time to think about, okay, so how can I do this better the second time around? We
Mhm.
ended up doing it like 3 times because students were learning so much in the breakdown,
Mhm.
and it was beautiful. It was a perfect little creation for success.
Mm. I love.
So that, anyways, being a facilitator for people to make mistakes and to know that making mistakes and having failures is absolutely okay.
I love that. Yeah. And so, as everybody knows, Robofun's classes are, the vehicle is technology, various types of technology. But what I hear you sharing is you're actually teaching them other important lessons like, certain mindsets, certain capacity for experimentation and resilience and having fun with failure, right? That's such a valuable one. And then with the performance energy you're talking about, I really hear you talking about the importance of modeling. Like, so often, teachers want their students to be a certain way, really great listeners, engage, but, it's important that the teacher brings that as well. And that's something, yeah, definitely at Robofun that we think is really important. The teacher has to bring that. Um,
Yeah,
so I
you've got to be a model of the kind of person that you want to see in the classroom, right?
Yeah, so well put. And you were sharing with me, I remember when we were talking the other day, you were sharing a bit also about like how you're listening to the students in terms of who they are and not not labeling or pinning students into a certain category. Could you share more about that again?
Yeah, absolutely. I had a little student who had raised her hand. We were spelling the word friction on the board. And I said, "Okay, come on up. It's now your time." And the teacher looked at me and said, "Are you sure?" Because often, we all group people.
Mhm.
There's,
And Katie, I'm sorry to
yeah,
interrupt, but just to give some context. So Katie's talking about she's teaching a RoboFun class at a school, and at school sometimes we work with the teachers at the schools. Just to clarify.
absolutely. It's great
Yeah.
because we have the teacher right there in the classroom, and it's fabulous to have them be assisting.
Mhm.
Uh, Anyhow, I had this girl come up. The teacher didn't think it was a good idea, but I love it because I'm a new person. I'm in the classroom with these people. I don't have a preconceived notion of who they are. And I
Mhm.
get to give them an opportunity to maybe show up where they haven't before because we're always learning and growing. And
Mm.
this little girl, with a little bit of assistance, did a great job spelling out the word friction. And she's in kindergarten. uh, Anyways, so breaking down the preconceived notions and giving these students time to shine, to uh, self-actualize,
Mm.
is one of the best parts of being a teacher.
I love that. Yeah. Like, and that's so challenging because in life we always start to think of people a certain way or even think of students like, oh, they're good at this, but not good at that. And it's so valuable to keep an open mind around that so that the student doesn't get pinned into that perception.
Absolutely, because they grow into that. They grow
Right.
into that, into the role that we've called them to. And
Right.
so keeping that open mind and giving students that haven't had that opportunity another or the opportunity to do so, and letting them break the mold that has been put around them in their school environment is incredibly important, so they can become the person that they want to be versus the person they're expected to be. Like I have two little boys who, the teacher informed me it's not a good idea for them to be in a group together.
Mhm.
But we were working on collaboration. We were working on communication, collaboration, organization in our team efforts to build our robotics. And yes, they did struggle. It's like having too many chefs in the kitchen, they're butting heads and everything.
Right.
But these two have slowly, through time and having the opportunity to do so, to work together, they're slowly starting to collaborate. There was a one day that I called them to the board to write out the word collaboration together. And it was so funny. We had to repeat it. Okay, collaborate, 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 because both of them wanted to take over. But by the end of the word, they had it down. Okay, I'm going to do this letter and you do this letter, and I'm going to do this letter and you're going to do this letter.
That's cool.
And that's how their teamwork has been showing up more and more, as they've been collaborating more and more. They're
That's
talking and listening. If I had just kept them separate, they wouldn't have had this opportunity to grow together, to collaborate together.
I love that. That's so cool. And I'm curious, so these are amazing teaching perspectives. And how do you see that these perspectives interplay with students learning technology specific things?
Mm. Yeah, well, I mean, especially with the creation and design of robotics,
Hmm.
like the EV3 robotics. I have a class later today that's showing off their robots,
Hmm.
and they've had to learn how to collaborate on design and
Hmm.
encoding. And
Right.
they're creating walking bots, and
Right.
they've created these little giants that are
Uh-huh.
so cool. And I've given them challenges of, okay, what if you added the medium motor so you could give them arms, or what if you had the ultrasonic sensor so that they could go backwards, or and they've all integrated them in different ways by collaborating together.
I love that. Yeah.
So
And
I
that's
feel like, yeah.
Oh,
What
no,
were you
I'm
going to say?
sure. I mean, it's so great because, one of the reasons we do STEM at Robofun is, it can be a vehicle for creativity, right? And so, they're learning scientific concepts and mechanical concepts, but then they're being creative with it. But also, it's a great vehicle for what you're talking about, like collaboration. And when, they get older and they're, if one of these kids or students wants to pursue a career in STEM, they absolutely will have to collaborate, right? It's an essential element to start thinking exponentially and take what they're doing to that next level. Um,
Absolutely. As so many of the students that come into my classes are all very individual. I am an individual, and it's really great to see them let some of that go to reach a common goal with another human being, or a group of 3 or 4, and finding that together, they are creating something that's even more inspiring than what they had in mind themselves.
that's awesome. And I
Yeah.
know from watching your classes that before you have them collaborate, they also all get recognition
Mommy.
as individuals, which really helps them
Wait, say that again. What'd you say?
Hey, Maeve wants to collaborate.
I know, she does. So by
Before
watching my classes,
before you have them collaborate, you recognize them as individuals. It's not just like pushing them into teamwork. There's first like the recognition of the individual, which
yeah.
I think is so important as well. So I guess my last question for you, Katie, would be what do you love most about teaching RoboFun classes, slash, what is one of your favorite memories?
That's so hard because I love teaching RoboFun because you're just constantly learning.
Mhm,
You're always learning.
mhm,
And I will always forever be a lifelong learner. As much as I teach, I give back. It's a cycle.
absolutely.
Uh, so I love that you're always learning with RoboFun. So you always have more material to teach and to give and to inspire your students with. One of my favorite experiences. Oh my goodness, that's hard. One of my students. I'll call her Mrs. M. Come here,
Like
come here.
Dave.
Mrs. M.
Mhm,
She She created her own little panther out of a tail design from a Robofun blueprint.
Oh, nice.
And she was so excited. It was at the very end of the course. She came up to me and she said, "Can I do an extra project?"
Uh-huh.
So I got her the blueprint and I got her own little box. And she was so proud of herself that she put together every single step all by herself,
Oh, that's
all
awesome.
by herself.
And she
And
turned it
she,
into a panther.
yeah, and she
Oh,
created a panther out of the tail design. She brought it to the middle of the room, and the smile on her face was a mile wide, I swear. I was so proud of her. She knew the names of all the pieces, she knew how they came together, she knew how to measure everything. She was so excited to show me that she had learned, she had opened herself up to something new, and she was so sad that that was the last day.
oh,
I will forever miss her. I always get so connected to my students because
yeah,
uh, we're all growing together.
yeah. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing, Katie.
Yeah,
It's so
absolutely, my
great.
pleasure.
Yeah, is there anything else? We're coming to a close here. Is there anything else that you're inspired to share or want to share?
Oh, let's see. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to teach with RoboFun. Through all of these things, from coding to robotic design, builds, uh, everyone gets to use their creativity. They get to learn together, grow together, and create their own little worlds.
Mm,
Last week, I got to work with a little kid while he was coding and creating his own Ferris wheels. We made our own little Coney Island,
nice.
and the best thing was hearing him say, "This is the best day ever."
I love that. Wow, that's really beautiful. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing. And thank you so much for coming on. And um, again, parents, this was for you if you're watching, just to meet a RoboFund mentor. Sometimes I'm on the phone with a parent and I'll be talking about a class and they'll say, "Who's the teacher?" And that question always surprises me because I think, well, these are parents who've never been to RoboFund. I think, do you think you know the teacher? Well, I don't know if you know the teacher. I can tell you the name. But I think what they're really asking is, like, what are they about? Who are they? What's their background? What inspires them? Are they a good fit for my kid? And all that. So just wanted to give you parents the opportunity to meet one of our amazing mentors. Thank you so much for being here, Katie. And I'm just going to share so you know what's going on, parents. If you are still interested in any after school classes, please feel free to reach out to me at noah@robofund.org. For the next week, about week and a half, we're still letting students into the after school. Then that week of April 18th, we do have our amazing RoboFun camp. We've got morning sessions and afternoon sessions or full day sessions. And then, of course, just a friendly reminder, summer camp is around the corner. We're beginning to fill up for that. So if you're interested, please reach out to me about that as well. Again, Katie, thank you so much for being here. It was amazing to have you. And we'll
Thank
see you
you,
guys
Noah.
next time.